Hello, all of you who are joining in today. So we are going to be cooking the dish that won me Guys Grocery Games. My name is Kayla Robinson. I am located here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I have a beautiful 10-year-old daughter and have been working in this industry for over 15 years. So I got the opportunity to go on Guys Grocery Games and battled out some amazing chefs and won last year. So it was absolutely amazing. If you check the show out, you can still see it on Amazon. Guy Fieri called my daughter up after I won and announced and told her that I had won and gave me the $20,000 right then and there. If you're familiar with the show, you have to do this kind of scavenger hunt to like gain your money, but he was very generous, and after talking to my daughter and meeting me, he decided to go ahead and dub me the winner and give me the $20K. So it was absolutely amazing, and this dish that we're making tonight is going to be the dish that wowed the judges. It is my go-to dish because in the show, in Guys Grocery Games, the battle round was takeout Italian food. So the concept was something that was quick, something that's affordable, and making sure that we stay obviously in a budget and in a time constraint. And this is my go-to dish. I'm a super busy mom. Again, I have a daughter. She's in dance class. She's in piano class. She's in soccer. And so this is my go-to dish to do something quick, delicious, and affordable. So I think if you're just tuning in and if you are going to cook along, go ahead and get your pot of water boiling. How we're going to kind of start this process is cooking the things that are going to take the longest. So obviously we want to get our water boiling. I have my water in a pot. I just turned my heat on, and we are going to season our water. Anytime you are cooking with pasta or vegetables, even potatoes, you want to season your water because you want to penetrate that item with seasoning, right? And you don't want to go shy on seasoning your water. So a couple things, tricks about seasoning water. When you are doing it, you want to use iodized salt. You can use any salt, but iodized is the most affordable, obviously, and you always have it on hand. Just don't season your food with iodized salt. I usually use kosher salt, sea salt, all those things. And so we're going to go ahead, season the water pretty generously. All right. I always have it on handy because I'm always cooking pasta. I'm always blanching vegetables and all those good things. So water's going to start boiling. How we doing, folks? I see we have a few folks tuned in. Awesome. Again, my name's Kayla. For those who are just tuning in, we're going to be cooking a delicious meal tonight that won me Guys Grocery Games, and got the water boiling. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and our host will make sure to ask along the way, and then I'll be sure to answer them. Okay, so we're going to get our chicken going, and then after that, we're going to start our pesto. So I'm going to turn my skillet on. Going to put a little amount of oil in there, which I just bat some more olive oil, if I can get it open. There we go. All right, so just a couple tablespoons in there. And we're going to make sure you cover the entire pan. So I'm just rolling this oil along or around the pan to make sure it covers all the surface of it so that my chicken doesn't stick. All right. And so in the recipe, I called for chicken breasts. And so what you want to do is butterfly, which means cutting those in half because they're really thick and they'll take a long time to cook. Or you can go and buy them already done, which is my go-to because the less work I need to do, the better. Nope, Drake, you have to go. Sorry, my daughter's here. Can you go in your room, please? Thank you. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put the chicken down in there so that can cook right into the pan. And you don't want to overcrowd the pan. This pan fits about 4 pieces, so this is 2 breasts cut in half. And I'm going to wash my hands. It's very important that you do not cross-contaminate, especially with chicken. Alrighty. So chicken's going, water is boiling. I'm going to season my chicken with salt and pepper. It's very important also when you are cooking to season each ingredient along the way. You want to make sure each ingredient gets the tender love and care so that every flavor in that ingredient comes out in your final dish. So I've got some pepper and some salt. All right. Looking good. So now we are going to start our pesto. Pesto. I absolutely love pesto. It's very earthy. You have that basil in there. You have that tang from the lemon. Garlic. Gotta love garlic. And then I like to add some red pepper flakes in there because I like heat. If you don't like spice, you can just take those red pepper flakes out. So we're going to take 1.5 cups of basil. So I take the stems off. They're a little, they don't break down very easily, but I do save stems and all scraps for soup stocks, compost. Even if you're sauteing things, there's a lot of oils in here that will flavor your food. So if you're sauteing potatoes, save these, throw those in there. Obviously don't eat them, but the oils from here will extract as you're cooking and really give you some great flavor. I'm all about using every bit of ingredient so that there is no waste. Okay. Basil's in there, smells so great. I went to the farmer's market here in Cincinnati and got all of these ingredients. I absolutely love our farmer's market. If you have time, Google it. It's Finley Market in Cincinnati. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's really old. It was like the top 10 most iconic farmer's market in the country. I just think it's so amazing. I might be a little biased, but it's like walking into history when you go. Again, about using every bit of ingredient every bit of an ingredient, lemons, and using the peels. Okay, so I'm going to zest this because again, there's a lot of flavor in this. So I have my microplane, and I'm just going to.
Kayla,
in there. Yeah.
Someone just asked, how much basil did you use?
I have 1.5 cups of basil, which probably is about 1/4 pound if you were to buy it from the store.
And then someone asked, how can you use the stems and can you freeze them?
You can freeze the stems. And again, the stems are great. You add them into stocks and soups, and make sure you pull them out, obviously, when you're done. Because they're not really that edible. And then if you're sauteing like potatoes or anything like that, throw those stems in there because there's oils in there that are going to extract as you're cooking and really add a lot of flavor. All right, my chicken is ready to be flipped. So a lot of folks ask me, I just had a friend call me in a panic last night, like, I think I messed up my chicken. I'm a terrible cook. How do I cook chicken? So I always tell them, when you're sauteing, you can see how the white is starting to form on the edges. If you see it like this, right? That's how you know you need to flip it. So I'm going to flip it. And then you can also see that there's a nice golden brown on there as well. You can kind of see it with the light in the camera. And then you're going to cook it about 3 to 4 minutes each side. Obviously, depending on there we go. Obviously, depending on the size of your chicken breast, These chicken breasts, I had them cut in half, so they'll cook a lot faster. I also have it on a medium heat, so we're gonna let this cook for a little bit longer. Okay, so we have, for the pesto, we have our basil. We have our lemon zest in there. Now we're gonna add some lemon juice. Cut this in half. A little trick, make sure you get those seeds out of there. Another good way so that you don't get your seeds in. I don't have a juicer because my juicer is my tongs. I'm all about not having too much equipment, and I have, as you can see, a pretty small kitchen. So I try to utilize my space as much and also the tools I have in my kitchen. So this is your handy dandy juicer. And what I'll do, I'm gonna grab a bowl so I don't catch the seeds into the blender, and you just squeeze it just like that. Also, this lemon was super juicy, but if you have a lemon that's a little harder, you want to take that and kind of push it on a flat surface and roll it to extract those juices in there so that you can get the most juice out of your lemon as well. This one I didn't have to do because it was super juicy. All right. I'm going to save that because there's still a little more juice in there that I'm going to finish this off with. Okay. See? One less tool in the house. Okay, so I've got these seeds. Just gonna fish these seeds out a little bit. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog upstairs. All right, so I'm going to pour my lemon juice in there. And we're going to add Parmesan cheese. Then a lot of pestos are traditionally used with walnuts. You can use any nut. I personally always have pistachios on hand. These ones are my favorite pistachios. They are the chili roasted ones. Typically, you can use the regular ones. I like a little heat in my stuff, so I use the chili pistachios. These are fantastic snacks. I eat these every single day. So we're going to add those in there. And you can also use, pine nuts, almonds, any nut basically is great to use. Okay, then I'm adding a little more heat because again, I really like heat. So I'm adding those chili flakes in there. Salt and pepper. Okay. I see my water is going. Perfect. We'll be adding the pasta soon. All right, so as you can see, my handy dandy super old food processor. My grandma gave this to me years ago, and it's lasted her since the 70s. It'll probably last me my entire lifetime because they made things to last back then. So a lot of folks make fun of me for this, but I love this thing. It hasn't broken, and a lot of people's new food processors have. So this is going to be a little loud, but what we're going to do is pulse this for a few seconds, and then we're going to add our oil in there. All right, that was quick. So I'm going to take the lid off, make sure any ingredients that are kind of hanging around on the top, I push them down because I want to make sure that they do get incorporated into the sauce. All right, and now we're going to add our oil. Chicken's still cooking, looking good. Nope. All right, oil is added. Everything is minced. This looks fantastic. I'm going to give it one last stir to make sure everything is incorporated, but it's looking really good. I'll show you folks what it looks like once I take this off. Okay. Scrape every last bit of there. Again, these are flavors. We don't want anything wasted, so I make sure I clean every little bit. Okay. So that is my delicious pesto. great for all sorts of things. I really like to add this on sandwiches. I also love to add it in omelets. It's a little odd, but I love it. I add it with some mozzarella and tomatoes. So the pesto adds that really good type of earthiness to it. Okay. I'm going to put this on the side. Unplug this bad boy. All right. Checking the chicken. Still looking great. All right, so how to check if your chicken is done? There's a few ways. So you have, if you have a meat thermometer, that's always a great way. It's a, nope, you're not gonna fail unless your meat thermometer is a wrong calibration. But I get a digital meat thermometer and I check it. 165 is what you wanna cook chicken to, but I also go by feel. So I'm going to touch the chicken, and if it's really springy, that means it's not done. If it's firm, that means it's done. So this guy is pretty firm. We're gonna put her on the plate. This one's firm. These ones are a little more thicker, so they're gonna need a little more time to cook. And any little chicken bits that you have at the bottom of the pan, save those, because that is flavor. We are going to deglaze this pan, meaning all these brown bits that are at the bottom of the pan. I'll show you folks. Those brown bits that are in that pan, that's flavor. So we're gonna add a liquid to that to deglaze it so that we don't lose any of that flavor. It adds flavor to the dish. All right, looking good. So pasta is, water is boiling. I'm gonna go ahead and add the penne. Okay. Give it a quick stir. And that's just gonna take a few minutes to cook. So the chicken's in here. I am going to add, actually, a little bit of this pasta water in here. Pasta water, man, that's another great trick for you folks. Save at least, if you're doing, so we're doing a batch for 2 folks. Save at least a cup of pasta water anytime you're making a pasta dish, because when you add that to your sauces, it adds a lot of flavor because there's starch in this. It's also a thickener to your sauce. So I'm going to save this, and I'm going to deglaze the pan. Again, we're adding this and turn my pan on. Just a little bit, not a lot. And I'm going to scrape those bits off. Let's see if I can show you folks. So here's these brown bits in here. We added the liquid and we're scraping it. That is deglazing your pan. That is flavor to your dish. You don't want to get rid of that. And a little bit of the water is going to help cook that last bit of that chicken a little bit faster. All right. Looking good, looking good. Okay, so I'm gonna let that simmer a little bit longer. And we're going to start on some of our prep for the pasta sauce. So we have garlic. Way to get the seal, or not the seal, the skin off your garlic. You take your knife, put it down on a hard surface, and whack it. And that right there will peel off your garlic. All right, so again, on a flat surface, take your knife, whack it. Love this little trick. Saves so much time peeling garlic. Again, save your skins for stocks and soups and all those things. They have a lot of flavor in there. Your onion peels, all those things. Save them. Okay, or even composting. I don't really have a green thumb. I've tried many times, but I do compost for my friends who do have green thumbs. It's great for your garden. All right, and also another little trick to get that garlic smell off your hands, rub, my grandma taught me this, but you rub sugar in your hands. You wash your hands with soap and sugar, and it takes the smell away. So I've been doing that for years. All right, chicken is done. Awesome, we're gonna let that rest. Looking good. I got all those brown bits up. Oh, I love it. Okay. I'm gonna move my garlic to the side. We're gonna add the garlic a little later. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're gonna cut our tomatoes in half. So these little guys, they can be a pain in the butt to cut. You don't wanna just cut one at a time. It takes forever. You'll be here all day. So a little trick is I put my hand down on them, and I'm gonna need a bigger knife. Got my large serrated knife. And I just cut right through the center. If you're afraid of cutting your hand, you can use a plate. I'm just gonna add those right to here. So again, same concept, put them down, put the plate right on top, hold it down, and cut. Boom. And they're all cut in half, just like that. All right, I'm gonna add a little oil to this pan just so these can start sauteing and blistering. We wanna make sure we blister these tomatoes, gives them that kind of char flavor to them. Looks fantastic. All the brown bits in there. The brown bits is also called fond. That is the technical cooking French term for the brown bits in a pan. And with that fond, you deglaze. All right. So we are going to continue cutting these in half. All righty. One little guy straggling. All right, there we go. They're all in there. Put that in there. And again, we're going to season this step as well. So I've got my pepper and salt. Move it around. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Looking so good. I can smell the little bits of the chicken and the tomatoes. They're looking so good. All right, so we are going to deglaze the pan again with our heavy cream. Pour that in there. Yummy, yummy. Love heavy cream sauces. Adds such a creamy richness. All right, so I'm gonna crank this up. I got this on a medium high. We want the sauce to reduce. We are going to add the pesto into this sauce, but first I wanna kind of cook this sauce down just a little bit so that it has time to thicken. And there's cheese and oil in the pesto, which is gonna be a thickening agent to this sauce as well. Check on my penne. Whew. All right, so when cooking pasta, the term that we are looking for is called al dente, which means burned to tooth, okay? So we're going to see, ooh, it's a really hot one. We're gonna see if this is done. I can taste the saltiness from the water, it's perfectly seasoned. It does have a little bit more time to cook. You don't want it crunchy, but you want it firm. And you don't want it mushy, because it's mushy pasta. We don't like mushy pasta. Okay. Sauce is boiling. It's looking fantastic. I guess what we'll do while we're waiting is cut the chicken so that that is ready to plate. Also, when you're cooking any type of meat, chicken, steak, burgers, biggest thing is burgers. I'm known as the burger queen in my city. So when you are cooking burgers or steak or chicken, let your meat rest. Why? Because You want to make sure the juices that are in there suck back into the meat and make sure it's not just extracting all over and you're losing all that juiciness, right? We want to make sure we let that rest. So this has been resting for some time. I'm going to go ahead and take my chicken and my handy dandy chef knife. I got a little straggler there. That one will go to the dog. All right, and so when I cut chicken, I cut, or any meat, I cut on a bias, which is an angle. You see this? Here's straight, here's an angle. It's a bias. Because of presentation purposes. Also, when you cut steak, you put it on a bias at an angle against the grain to help so it's not so chewy. So you kind of can do the same for chicken as well. You can kind of see your grain. So I cut on a very sharp bias, just like this. All right. And then you can kind of see, so I can pick this up, how that is so white with my light. But you can see the bias of that. It just looks prettier on your plate. Because the first thing they teach you is you eat with your eyes first, right? You want to make sure you're wowing your guests with a pretty dish. All right. I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's see. We're going to go this way. Cut on a nice, long bias. All right. Sauce is boiling. I'm going to give it a stir. It's already thickening up, which is great. So now I'm going to add pesto into the sauce as well. We're going to finish it with the garlic. So I've got the pesto. Make sure you get every last bit of it. There's a lot of flavor in this pesto. Okay. Then for garlic, I like, let me grab this guy. This is my favorite garlic tool. Just minces it for you, so I'm not sitting there doing all the work. I don't know about you, but I cook for a living, right? So when I come home, I don't want to be cooking all day. I kind of want to just, you know, take my shortcuts because I've been cooking all day as it is. So these little guys, I got this one from Williams-Sonoma. You can get them on, I'm sure, on Amazon. I'm pro Amazon, especially during this time, so I don't have to leave my house. So squeeze it in there. I take my knife, just plop it in there. Awesome. Last little bit. Oop. Make sure I don't spill it everywhere. All right. Garlic's in. Sauce is boiling. Gonna go ahead and give it a big old mix. I'll show you folks what this is starting to look like. I'm getting a nice green flavor. You can see, whoop, there it is, that it's starting to thicken. You want it to be thick enough to cover the back of your spoon, okay? And that it doesn't just like drip off. This is just slow drip. You don't want it running off. So, oh, this looks beautiful. All right, we'll check that sauce. Or I'm sorry, we're gonna check our pasta. Oh yeah, I can already tell it's perfectly done. Okay, so we're taking that off. We're gonna save a little bit more of this water because now this water really has that starchiness in there, okay? So I'm gonna save about half a cup. I'm gonna pour it right into this sauce. Perfect. It's gonna add that perfect amount of saltiness in there. And it's gonna also thicken the sauce. So now we're going to strain it. It's about to get real smoky right here. Okay. Oh, that sauce smells so good. All right. Get every last drop out. And we're going to throw it right into our pot. Perfect. All right, now we're going to give it a stir to make sure it fully coats your pasta. Looking good. Oh, it smells so good. I love this dish. so much. It is just my favorite go-to dish. Can't go wrong with it. All right, so as this is gonna simmer and thicken over the pasta, I'm going to, let's see, crush some pistachios to add on top. I know it sounds really crazy, but this little bit of crunch adds a really delicious texture to the dish. The judges on the show were really kind of taken back by it, but really were surprised and liked it. So I suggest adding a little pasta or a little nuts here and there onto some pasta. All right, this is looking great. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat off. And I'm just going to mince these up just a little bit, just a rough chop on there for plating purposes. All right, perfect. All right, folks, fun time, plating, right? Plating and tasting. We do want to season our food first, so I am going to taste this to see. I don't even need to add any more salt and pepper. That is why we layer. Oh, I get that lemon flavoring from the pesto. It's delicious. Okay. So when plating, here's a rule. You want to plate into the center of your plate, right? You don't want anything kind of splattered around here. We'll clean up any splatters that get around here. The rule is usually a 2-inch rim around your plate when it comes to restaurants. So if you want to plate like a fancy restaurant chef, those are my little tips. Okay. So good. All right. I've already made a little mess, so I'm going to grab my paper towel and we're going to push the pasta a little more to the center and clean up any spots that got along the way. There we go. Okay. So my store was out of burrata cheese. So I got these little mozzarella pearl cheese, which works just fine. If you have burrata, you take them and you kind of tear it and you add it in. I'm doing the same with the little pearl mozzarellas because they do the same thing. Burrata is basically like if mozzarella and ricotta had a baby and it made burrata, is basically what it is. So it has that hard casing on the outside like a mozzarella, but the inside when you open it is nice and ooey gooey. It's delicious. It adds such a great texture to anything, especially pastas. All right, so I've kind of had that in there. Just kind of nestle it in between. We're going to add our beautifully cut chicken right on top. From that point, I kind of layer it down a little bit. All right. And then we're going to finish it with our pistachios and a squeeze of lemon juice. This adds some nice brightness to it. And obviously, if you have some more basil left over, you can chop that up and add that on there, or some parsley, some green herbs. But folks, this is the dish. It's a delicious pasta dish. I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. This is a crowd pleaser. This is a family pleaser for picky kids. I have a picky kid, so this is kind of our go-to when there's nothing else that she wants to eat. So do we have any questions? Thank you, folks, for listening, cooking along. I hope you cook this for your family, friends, or a special someone. It's a delicious one.
Doesn't look like we have any questions, but everyone's saying how delicious it looks.
Oh, good.
Thank you so much, Kayla.
Yes, thank you, folks. You can follow me on Instagram, Commander, the letter N, Beef. Again, I told you folks I was the burger queen here in Cincinnati, so Commander and Beef is my name. You can find me on there. And yeah, love to answer any questions you have along the way. Just private message me. Thank you so much.